Hello, Canada. It's Christopher Wilson here with The Rebel. Not sure if you saw it last week, but our Brian Lilley released a video telling us Canadians to be ready for a nudge on how to live and helping to fight climate change. Well, if there's something us Vancouverites know really well, it's that we've already been getting these nudges for the past 8 or 9 years under Mayor Robertson. Now, the Mayor Gregor Robertson, he loves to make idealistic pledges like ending homelessness, or more recently, what he's done is a pledge to make the city 100% renewable energy by 2050. Now, one of the ways that the city is proposing to do this is by promoting the construction of what they call passive houses. Now, you might be thinking, what is a passive house? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a house that doesn't use very much energy and essentially is a way of promoting living with less, because you know us North Americans, we're big bad consumers and we use way too much. So for now, for more commentary on this issue, I brought in Rebel contributor Marc Schenker here to talk about this, and he's been doing some research on this topic. So Marc, tell us a little bit about the history of passive houses, where they originated, and why the mayor seems to like them so much.
Well, Chris, passive houses, the concept is actually pretty new. It started in Germany around 1990, and that's when the first passive house was built in that country. And since then, it's gained a little bit of steam to the point that, Gregor Robertson is actually pretty aggressively on the passive house bandwagon. I mean, to the point where he's basically, there was a press release a few days ago, and Gregor Robertson is quoted as saying that the city of Vancouver is pleased to support passive house design, as it is increasingly recognized as a leading energy efficient home building method.
So essentially what they want to do with these passive houses is remove the furnace, remove that cheap, plentiful natural gas source of energy, and use what exactly? What would they use to heat their houses?
Well, you got me, but what I do know is that Gregor Robertson is such a furious supporter of passive houses that he was actually on a bike tour just last month promoting, the first few passive houses that we have here in Vancouver. And, from a liberal environmentalist standpoint, you can't get any more green than that, going on a pro-environmentalist bike tour to promote another green concept of the fledgling passive house. But what's actually interesting is that there have actually been real health hazards and health issues reported with specific case studies concerning passive houses.
Okay, and so where were these studies? Where did this report come from exactly?
Well, according to Sourceable.net, which is an architecture and construction industry news website, there was actually a representative from a Norwegian Allergy and Asthma Association group. His name is Bo Gleditsch, who went on the record, and this is a direct quote from him, saying that passive houses, are almost hermetically sealed houses where the air does not change. This causes dust to accumulate and high temperatures. So I guess, if you're a fan of living in a house where there's a lot of dust and, where it's a very hot air, be my guest. But I think that a lot of people wouldn't be up for living in such, uncomfortable conditions.
Sounds like it could be a problem for someone who has asthma, for instance. Now, more so, I think this is just really another example of basically trying to import a idea from Europe, where in Europe we know it's very crowded. There is a need to sort of live with less, if you like, and live in a smaller space. But this is North America. This is a big continent. We've got lots of space, and maybe not in the city of Vancouver proper, but certainly there's room for large houses, beautiful houses. I mean, these look like, frankly, ugly boxes on the street.
I definitely agree. In fact, before this, we were just out and looking at some passive houses all over Vancouver. And let me tell you that aesthetically, you wouldn't feel comfortable actually, going into one of those on a regular basis, because it basically looks like, giant boxes.
Now, my concern is going forward, do we expect subsidies for these houses? Government, basically taxpayer money going towards paying for people to build these houses. If Gregor Robertson has shown us anything, is that he will be pushing probably the new federal government to give, or the provincial government, some kind of subsidy for this thing. Do you think that's an inevitability? Should Mayor Robertson stay on, or Vision Vancouver be able to push this to the next level?
I hope they don't, but I'm afraid that they will. And the reason that I'm not for subsidies for passive houses is because I think at this point, there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered about their actual safety. Going quickly back to the same Sourceable.net article, there was actually a case study done of a family who lived in a passive house in Belgium, and after a while of staying there, they actually developed breathing problems, diarrhea, muscle pains, and headaches all after staying in the passive house. So before Mayor Gregor Robertson does continues to push and definitely subsidize for passive houses, he should look into whether it's actually a safe option for Vancouverites.
Never mind that it might. We don't even know if it actually costs more to live in a passive house. I mean, like I said, natural gas is cheap. Hydro is actually one of the cheapest forms of electricity in the world is here in British Columbia in the form of our hydroelectricity. So it's really a bizarre concept, but it fits right in with that narrative, like Brian was talking about, that need for government to tell us how to live. And that's something I just hate. So that's been it for us here today for the Rebel.Media. I'm Christopher Wilson with Marc Schenker, and we'll see you next time.